there's the transitions you plan, and there's the transitions you don't plan, but you have to react as.
Yes.
So, like, I decided I wanted when I went down to Daytona, I was like, okay, this will be a good home base. It's a
Hmm.
small little hotel unit, 430 square feet. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
First night I get in there, I'm like, this place is terrible. I'm about to leave today,
Gosh.
go back to Pittsburgh. Then it grew on me, and then over 2 months it was like, oh yeah, this is terrible.
This is
Actually.
terrible. Hi, I'm Kym Tolson, and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. I'm excited today because we have a returning guest, Steven Mollura. He was a guest on episode, I think, number 127. And I actually think this episode is probably like 118 or something like that. So we've had a lot of episodes in between. But I wanted Steven to come back to give us an update. I love doing these updates a couple of years later to see where people are. Are you still a traveling therapist? What are you doing? How are you still making it work? So, Steven, I'd love to have you introduce yourself and maybe just tell us a little bit about where you were and kind of where you are now. And then let's just chit chat about everything in between.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kym. It's great to be back. I love just talking with you and being on this podcast. But
Thank you.
yeah, I've been a traveling therapist for, I believe, 2 years now. I believe so when we were meeting last time, I was doing a part-time traveling therapy in my basically a little work van that had a bed in it. It was basically a
Yeah.
minivan, and I've upgraded to a bigger van. I did full-time traveling therapy for 6 months, and
Nice.
then I had a couple home bases in between with apartments and still doing adventures with the Sprinter van. And now I'm just in an apartment, and I'm doing a little bit more like you. I know you're doing Airbnbs and hotels and doing that kind of thing. I'm have a home base, and I've been doing small excursions from now on. So
Okay.
yeah, it's been a great series of adventures and a lot of transitions.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. I have so many questions. Okay. So the van before was called Eloise. Am I remembering this correctly? We had
Right,
a name for the
Eloise the
van.
van. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Yeah,
was the
Eloise
first
van.
one.
So you sold Eloise, and do we have a name for the new van or what?
The new van was Sophia. So the Eloise was a Ram ProMaster City. If you
Okay.
know what that looks like, it's just a small minivan. It was just
Yeah.
big enough. Sleeping in it was kind of like sleeping in a coffin, which is
Oh my
terrifying the
gosh.
first times, but you get used to it. And at a certain
Yeah.
point, it was actually after that trip to Costa Rica, there was a counseling conference down there where I
Okay.
saw you in person, which was great. I got Eloise the van, which was a Ford Transit medium roof, 130
Okay.
wheelbase. It was like going from a shoebox apartment to a bigger shoebox apartment, but it was like it was like you can definitely fit
It's
better.
like
I could
major
stand
upgrade.
up.
Oh,
I could,
wow.
yeah. It was so wonderful being like, I have so
Oh my
much
gosh.
room.
It's like, this is amazing. That's
Yes,
so
it was
funny.
absolutely wonderful.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So you still have that van. You got rid of the other one. You still have this one now that you travel in. So what does it look like? Because I remember you were like, was it Philadelphia? Where did you live before? Where you were living and then you're
Pittsburgh.
coming Pittsburgh. That's what it was. So you were in Pittsburgh and you were like really coming down to Florida, right? Because you had an apartment in Pittsburgh. So you were like just taking these short little trips, I guess, to Florida and then going back
Yeah.
to the home base up there.
Yes. So this was the short term or the part-time van life was 20, what year is it now? 2024. So
2024. Yeah. It's like, how is
2022
it?
was when I was
Uh-huh.
doing part-time van life. And even 2020, the entire point was I went down to St. Petersburg for a trip. I saw this family living out of a Sprinter van. They I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. and I started doing part-time. So 22 and 22 is just doing these short trips back and forth because I have friends in Orlando and I just love Florida because sunlight, water,
Yeah.
beautiful
How
beaches,
could you
all that good
not?
stuff. Exactly. So 2022, and then that autumn, I
hmm
decided I want to do full time. And I
Yeah.
was at that point, I was like, okay, I was really just burnt out with Pittsburgh, the lack of
Yeah.
sunlight, and I don't want to knock Pittsburgh too much, but I was like, the Southlands were calling to me.
Yeah.
So I pack up Eloise the van. January 12th is when I left,
Okay.
and January 12th, 2023. And then
Wow.
did 2 months of living in Eloise, which was great. I was terrified, but it was awesome. And I just spent it mostly on the coast, meeting other van lifers, having adventures. And
Fun.
then at a certain point, I was like, I need a bigger van. So
Yeah.
explored the options in February 2023, end of February. I immediately bought a Sprinter van, traded in Eloise, which was, there was a little bit of tearing from my
Oh,
eyes. I was like,
yeah.
goodbye home. But and then I bought
Yeah.
Sophia, the Ford Transit, and then
Love it.
continued to do that until June 11th, 2023. So actual
Wow.
full 6 months on the
Wow.
road, having adventures mostly between Daytona, Orlando, Miami. That was usually the triangle, but with a bunch of other
hmm
places in between and outside, and going a little bit back and forth to Pittsburgh just to see family and have some adventures there.
hmm
So it was absolutely great.
So when you say terrifying, like tell us about that.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I
So
like to hear the dirty, dark side of this stuff too, to tell the listeners, because everybody's like, oh, van life seems so cool. But what's the other side of it, like that you're talking about, the scary part?
so 2022, I was in an apartment with an old roommate who I'd been living with for years at this point, an old roommate from college. And, we know each other on and off as I'm trying to talk, I'm like, I'm going through the timeline. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, remember college? And I was like, no, no, no. So, but I was like, okay, decent apartments, but not really doing it for me. I didn't really like the area. And it was like, it was
Mhm.
safe and stable, but it was boring. And I can kind of feel myself. I had a call to adventure.
Yes, I
Um,
totally get
and
it.
and it was killing me not
Yeah.
doing it. Even with the
Yes.
part-time van life, it was like, this is
hmm
great, this is wonderful. And my therapist at the time was like, Steve, you are always super happy every time you come back from a trip, and then a week later you are devastated because you're back here. And I'm just
Oh
like,
my gosh.
so deciding to
Yeah.
do full time and being like, okay, I'm
hmm
going to get rid of all of my stuff,
I
get rid of an
gotcha.
address, get rid
Yes.
of the stability and the people I know here for,
Yeah.
going off into the wild blue yonder. And I kind
Yes.
of knew some of the things, like I knew I was going to experience some level of loneliness and
hmm
homesickness and some difficulties, specifically, hygiene, showering, keeping things clean,
Yes.
eating, all the just the basic life stuff that's like, oh, you can do this, but it's going to be a different way of doing this, you know.
Yeah. Oh my
So
gosh.
so just going into that
hmm
was definitely very strongly anxiety provoking. But I
Yeah.
was very blessed because I hate Pittsburgh and I hate Pittsburgh in winter. And with the lack of
Yeah.
sunlight and the cold was like, you need to go, Steve. That was the fire under my butt really pushing me forward. And I remember it was like June, oh no, it was January. I don't know. It was leading up to January, and I kept on getting pushed back because I was sick with COVID and whatever. And I
Yeah.
was like, I need
Oh.
to leave. I need to leave. So when I finally did leave, it was such a relief just to hit the road.
Oh. Oh my God. A relief and scary at the same time. Like I
Oh
totally get
yeah.
that. It's like this is gonna be awesome, but oh my God, I don't even have a house. Like what if I hate it? Like all that stuff. Yeah.
And
Totally get
that
it.
was what I kept on telling myself logically. If I hate it, sell the vehicle, get an
Yeah.
apartment. You're not that broke. You're not
Yeah.
incapable. You're able to, you have a master's degree and run your own practice. You can do whatever you need to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So I get it. Okay. So it was more that kind of stuff. I was thinking when you were saying scary, like, sleeping in Walmart parking lots or off
Oh,
the
yeah,
side of
that
the
is
road
scary sometimes
somewhere.
too.
Like that part terrifies me. When I see like single women like living in vans or in their cars, I'm like, that is so scary. I did not know how people do that. Even driving across the country by yourself, like, I don't know. It just freaks me out. But
The ladies are courageous. And this was when I was still doing part-time van life. Actually, this was before I did van life at all. I was in
Mhm.
Orlando. It was outside of Disney Springs, and I met this one girl in a parking lot of a Speedway gas station. She was
Wow.
clearly in a Ford Transit Connect that was like geared up to be a traveling van. And I was annoyingly interrogative. I was like, what do you do? How do you keep yourself safe? And like she went through the whole thing. It's like, oh, I mean, you met me. No one probably wants to fight me, but it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, you
Yeah.
can take care of yourself. And once you get used to it, like be vigilant, but you don't have to be hyper vigilant about it.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, there have been a few nights where I've been like, I might get shot through this van.
Yeah. Oh, see, that scares me a lot. It's like, what if somebody like just comes to the band in the middle of the night and tries to break into it thinking you're not in there, you know? I guess I don't know. Do you have weapons? Like, what do you do about that?
Yes.
You
There I
do.
did.
Okay.
I did actually sleep with the revolver under the pillow.
Okay.
It had the case, so
Gotcha.
you can't accidentally fire on yourself. It's fine. I'm a big
Yeah.
proponent of the Second Amendment, especially
Yes.
for women. Be able to
Yes.
protect yourself. But no, I mean they're especially when I was like in Miami a few times, and I've been like,
Hmm.
Miami's great. I have nothing bad to say about Miami or Fort Lauderdale, but the biggest thing when you're in downtown Miami, it never gets quiet. And
Oh
there's
my God, that's for
always
sure.
people going back and forth.
Oh
So
my
it's like
gosh.
3 in the morning, and you're in this I was in this parking lot in South Beach, which I shouldn't have been on, but it was like clearly there's maybe not shady things going on, but just clearly a
Yeah.
lot of people drinking in this parking lot at 3 in the morning. I'm just
Oh
like,
my
okay,
God.
just be careful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm sure we could probably spend an hour just talking about all the different parking lots you slept in.
Oh,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
that should be a
So funny.
podcast I do, just the
It
parking lots I've
should.
slept in reviews.
Steven's parking lot reviews. So you probably could do your own podcast on that. Anyway, okay. So I interrupted you because I think you were just telling your timeline. So you did the 6 months all the way to what was it? Did you say June 11th,
June. Yeah.
2023? Okay. And then
And
what
that
happened? You just decided, okay, I'm done.
So my brother, little brother, love him to death. He bought a house. He was living in a condo with his wife.
Oh,
He bought a
mhm.
house. And
Okay.
he's like, Steve, can you be a tenant here for a little bit? And after 6 months of full-time van life, I was like, great, this will be wonderful. And I just told him, hey, if you sell this condo, if I move in June 12th and you sell this thing June 13th, I'll just pack up and leave. It'll be nothing. Like, do whatever you need
Yeah.
to do. So I go up there, take over his rent for a little bit, and basically get stuck there, for lack of a
Oh,
better word.
oh
So,
my gosh. Yeah.
but I still had Sophia the van, and I did some short trips. I went to Blue Ridge Rock Festival, which was
Oh,
like a
fun.
3-day camping thing. That was terrible. That was one
Oh,
of the worst festival experiences I've
terrible.
ever had. That I'll rant about that later. But I did
Okay.
that thing. I went down to Miami. One on November. I had a couple other adventures here and there, just doing
Mhm.
overnights a little bit. But it was nice to have a home base. It was nice
Yeah.
to have a shower. It was nice to have
Uh-huh.
a few other things. And it was a little interesting, not because I got a little bit cursed.
Mm.
So like I worked out really hardcore one day, and then I spent, 4 months in pain and having to do physical therapy because I screwed up my
Oh
back.
no. Oh gosh. Right.
And it's like I'm
Oh,
glad I have a bed that doesn't
yes.
rock too much when with the actual van. Glad, having the basics is very, very nice when you are a little in pain or you get sick. So
Yeah.
but once again, I got stuck in Pittsburgh during the winter. And at a certain
Oh.
point, again, so that
Mm.
fall, I decided, you know what? And between rent, the expenses, and I was living in a city with a Sprinter
Yeah.
van in
Yeah.
Appalachia where it's not very conducive to a giant truck van. So
Yes.
I decided, hey, I'm just going to do this differently. I trade in the Sprinter van
Oh.
for a Toyota RAV4. And once again, I
Oh.
was like, bye, Sophia, a little bit of tear, bye
Uh.
home. But now I'm decided to go back to Florida.
Uh-huh.
This time, I start with Daytona actually, because Daytona was
Okay.
nice.
Yeah.
I get a short-term lease in
Hmm.
a kind of mixed unit. It's like half hotel, half apartments, half
Oh,
condos.
uh-huh. Oh, wow. Interesting.
Because three halves make sense. The place
Yeah.
sucked, but I
Yeah.
had like a 6 month lease, but I only stayed two. It was so bad. It
Oh,
was like,
God.
okay, I just need to move down the
Yeah.
road. Now I'm in an actual apartment further down. This is my permanent place in quotation marks, but I'm still doing adventures around here. I'm doing overnights. I was just in Tampa yesterday. So it was a 3 hour
Nice.
drive 2 days ago, then 3 hour drive back. Simple. 2 weeks ago I was in Miami. And,
Uh-huh.
I'm still able to travel and have adventures and see people, but now I just have a home base, which I can actually have furniture in.
Yes. And it's in Florida, and don't have to worry about the winters anymore in
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
No more winter. I never want
Yeah.
to see snow again.
I understand. Yeah, I totally get it. Somehow we ended up in Sun Valley, Idaho for like, it was supposed to be 3 weeks, but we shortened it because it was like 36 degrees. It was snowing in
Oh,
mid-May. I'm like, how did we
no.
get here? The person that is cold, like when it's 76 outside. I don't know how we're here, but it's beautiful there if anybody ever wants to go, but it's too cold for me. But anyway,
Yeah, I
okay.
can't.
Yeah, I can't either. Oh my gosh. And so cool that we don't have to, just to say that we don't have to. We could be wherever we want to be, which is amazing. The
Absolutely.
coolest thing about this lifestyle, I think.
And take our practices with us, because I
Yes.
was seeing my brother yesterday in Tampa because he travels for work. I saw my clients in the morning, hung out with him for lunch. We had a split after that, but it was absolutely great to, get the time in we have. He's usually 1,000 miles away from me, and
Yeah.
still be able to make money, do my own thing, run my practice.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Okay, so I want to switch gears a little bit because I know that you're planning a big trip. I'd love
Yes.
to just talk a little bit about that because I think people will be super interested in what you've got cooking up and how you're planning it and the research and all that stuff. So maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
So, yes, my plan originally was to spend 2 months, 30 days to 2 months in Japan,
Oh my gosh.
because
Yeah.
I've never been, and I'm just like, let's whole different world. Let's see what happens here.
Huh.
Scaling that down a little bit to let's try it for 2 weeks. And then
Okay.
if we want to, then we'll expand up. We can do 2 months later, or we can just
Yeah.
do 2 weeks at a time every so often. But yeah, ever since I posted that, and it's been weird universal synchronicity.
Uh-huh.
So last week I was in an event in Miami. I meet this one person who basically wants to expand counseling services to Japan or for international
Oh,
workers who go back and forth. And I'm like, oh, this is right up my alley. Let's definitely do this. And
wow.
I don't remember the person's name, and I apologize. There was this
That's
other
okay.
person, I believe it was on your podcast. I believe she ran for
Oh,
Japan.
Cheryl. Cheryl.
Cheryl, yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I talked
Yep.
with her as well, about, I believe, a year or so ago.
Oh,
And
cool.
same thing. In fact, I am very, very interested in how to run in an international practice. And
Yes.
yeah, I still am in this planning phases. I know Japan has its own sort of counseling licensure system, but they also
Okay.
have this rule that if you don't advertise as that specific thing, you can still
Hmm.
do international practice. Does that make
Amazing.
sense?
So you want to see clients like expats and stuff in Japan, or do you want to just be able to see your clients from Japan?
Both.
Oh, okay.
Both.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I definitely want to see clients from Japan, because it's a 14-hour time difference. And I already
Okay.
have Excel file with the JST to Eastern Standard Time,
Nice.
including daylight savings time. And it's like,
That's smart.
okay, if it's 8 p.m. there, I can see this client at this time. And I have everything planned out in regards to that. As long as I can get a strong enough internet signal, I think this can work.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
this will open up so many more possibilities, because I don't know. I mean, if I want to go to, I don't even know where else I want to go to, but if I want to go on the other side of the planet and still
Yeah.
keep my practice for whatever reason, I can make this happen. And it's
Yeah.
kind of a proof of concept, but I'm very pumped for it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So is the trip planned, or is it still like, okay, I'm going to do 2 weeks, or do you already have it?
It hasn't been finalized yet. So I keep
Okay.
on getting alerts from Kayak and Google Flights like every other day
Yep.
in regards to prices. I'm looking at October. I might push that back to this November just because the daylight savings time might actually align a little bit better, be a little bit cheaper as well because it'll be off season. But yeah,
Nice.
no, I'm pumped. I definitely want to do this, and this has been a dream of mine since I was like, I don't know, teenager, different world. I really want to go international and see how this works.
That's really cool. Yeah. So have you already started trying to get like clients in Japan, like expats there, or are you waiting
No,
to see about that? Okay. Gotcha.
I still
Mhm.
want to experience a little bit more. And I
Yeah.
definitely want to know a little bit more about the culture because I'm a nerd and go to anime conventions and do and play video games and stuff. But it's like outside of that, I think
Yeah.
Cheryl knows a little bit more about like adult corporate culture than I do.
Yes. She does
So
seem to know a lot about that.
I probably want a little bit more exposure to the reality outside of the media that's like imported over here. So I definitely want
Mhm.
to explore a little bit more before I start advertising.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, so exciting. So you found out that you can see expats in Japan as long as you don't call it whatever they call, what do you know the term they use or not sure?
I do not, but
Okay.
it's on the international, I believe. No, not the hmm. I don't know if I have the website, but it's
Uh-huh.
I'm trying Japan counseling. No, I don't have the website. I apologize. But I
It's
don't
okay.
remember what it was called specifically. But yeah,
Yeah.
there is a specific term in the same way that Americans use licensed counselor or licensed mental health counselor or licensed professional counselor. They have their term. And as long as you don't
Okay.
call yourself that, you can still work.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. So you can do that. You can see your clients. You've worked out the time zones and a system to manage it. It sounds like you got a spreadsheet going.
Mhm.
I recently I'm just keeping everything on Eastern time. It just is working out better for me. Like I've got my computer, my phone,
Yep.
my Zoom, all my calendars are just staying at Eastern time because I just struggle with that so much. I told Steven before I hit record today that it's like 7 a.m. here. I still somehow
hmm
managed to book myself at 7 for a podcast interview. It's so funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to be very aware of that, A, because I definitely need sleep.
Running your own private practice is hard. With so many parts, it can sometimes feel overwhelming. That's where Owl Practice swoops in. Created specifically with mental health providers in mind, Owl offers a comprehensive HIPAA-compliant solution that helps you manage your practice in one convenient platform. Meet with your clients virtually through video therapy, which is fully integrated and secure. Manage client appointments and client records seamlessly. You can streamline your claim process with Owl's integrated insurance and claim capabilities. You can use Owl to invoice and manage payments. Owl Payments ensures financial data is stored securely, and no sessions are left unpaid. Owl is not only for providers, it also offers a secure client portal to enhance the client experience. Clients can use the portal to securely message their therapist, submit digital intake forms, complete necessary paperwork, and book appointments. Let Owl handle the heavy lifting so you can focus on what you care about the most, providing quality care for your clients. Visit owlpractice.com/Kym Tolson to claim a special offer of 50% off your first 6 months.
I definitely, yeah. I don't mind it
Yeah.
going the other way around. I don't
Hmm.
mind if a client at 2 in the morning Eastern Standard Time wants to see
Yeah.
me. I'll definitely do counseling for vampires or people on third shift. But no, I definitely am in bed at before midnight.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. Yeah, it's tough to manage. I mean, like every time I think I've got it down, something like this pops up. And like today, we have to check out of this Airbnb at 10 a.m. Mountain
Mm,
Time, but I had somebody scheduled at 12 Eastern, so I didn't
mm.
calculate that. So I had to I messaged her. I was like, "Can we rebook?" And she's like, "That's fine." But it's like there's always just these little things that pop up around time zones. Is just stressful. I mean, 2.5 years into this and I'm still trying to figure out time zones. I don't know, and I guess it'll always
Yeah.
be this way.
Is there any way to just set it to Greenwich Median Time and be like,
I
figure it
don't
out
know.
yourself, clients?
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice? Here's when I'm
Yeah.
available. 10 Mountain. You figure out when you can see me.
I think I had the same. I haven't been to Nashville in forever, but I think I had the same problem where I was just looking at my phone. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
everything in my schedule is screwed up, and it's freaking me out. I know it's
absolutely.
only an hour off, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my God, this is destroying my brain.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking I need to set up some sort of AI chatbot to tell me exactly
Yes.
what time it is where I am. I should do that. I don't know why I haven't. I run the clinical AI club. You'd think I'd have some AI hack for time zones.
Yeah.
I
I
need
when
to.
you create that, I'll need to steal it or buy it from you or
Okay, I'll
something.
share it with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There probably is one already. I don't even know it. But anyway, so very cool. Thank you for updating us. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about that maybe would be
Yeah.
helpful? Okay.
So let's talk about big feelings if that's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, this entire transition, and then
Hmm.
both transitioning from apartment to van life to full-time van life to, hey, let's just do this temporary thing, getting stuck, and then trying to travel again in a whole new way. It's a lot. And it's a lot. And
Yeah.
it's like you're for, man. I love this life. I really do.
Yeah.
It has some
Right.
bad side, it has some shadow sides and some downsides, but even that,
Hmm.
it's great.
Yeah.
It's taught me so much about myself, but I'm not gonna try not to swear. Gosh
It's
darn,
okay.
is
That's
it
all
a
right.
lot? Is it a lot sometimes? So,
Yeah. I hear you.
like, you've been doing this for what, 2.5 years, three? It's like
Hmm.
going from one place to another, doing the transition, and I mean, you're the OG traveling therapist. It's it's really let me make this more of a question, I guess. Is there ever times when you're like, okay, this is wonderful? Is there ever times when you're like, I know I keep on wanting to do this, but a part of me is like, no, let's just stay
Yeah.
here real quick and not do this ever again.
Right now. We're in that right now. Um, so we have to be back in Virginia by the 9th. Like we already have an Airbnb booked. Today is May 30th. And last week we pulled into a Planet Fitness, like traveling from Salt Lake City to Moab, right? So we go to Planet Fitness. I know you use Planet Fitness too. It's like all over the
Mhm.
country for the showers and all that stuff. But so we pull into Planet Fitness, we're in there working out, and I come out, and some 84-year-old man has hit my car, my BMW Z4.
Oh,
Yes, somebody he thought he was going backwards, but he went forward instead, and he like floored it and rammed into my car, right? So like holy shit. So it seemed like it was cosmetic, right? So we're like, all right, well, okay, we exchange information, all that stuff, and we're driving to Moab, which is like 4 hours from Salt Lake City, and excited to get down to Moab and see all the national parks and everything. The check engine light comes on.
hmm
So it's like, oh my God. So of course I pull over, call the tow truck, all this stuff. Anyway, turns out the way he hit it made the shutters not open and close, and it's throwing this code and all this stuff. But then the drivetrain warning comes up on the uh thing like 2 hours after that. And we stopped, we had somebody check it out. They're like, I think you could still drive it. It's just the shutters. We're like, okay, but then this drivetrain warning comes up. So of course I own a BMW. So guess what? There's like maybe one BMW dealership in every single state, right? Like
yep.
barely. In some states, there's none. So we get to Moab and we're like, oh shit, we can't drive to Virginia with this engine light on, right? So it's like the nearest BMW place is back in Provo, Utah, which is all the way back almost to Salt Lake City. So we had to come back here. We've been stuck, like you said, stuck in Provo, Utah for almost 2 weeks. It was a holiday weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and
Yep.
nobody was working. The insurance company wasn't working. The BMW people weren't working. The mechanics, nothing. So we're in an
Yeah.
Airbnb. We're like, we have no idea when this place is when they're going to be able to fix it. We just keep extending the Airbnb another couple days, another couple days. And now we got the car back yesterday. They fixed it. They made it drivable. They didn't do the cosmetic stuff, but we have to be in Virginia by the 9th. So it's the 30th. So we have to drive basically 2,000 miles over the next 7 days. And I've got appointments in there and everything, to make it back in time to like be in this other Airbnb we've already booked. So So yes, there are times it's just like, oh my God. Like it's just like it sounds like an easy problem to have, like whatever. Okay, you're straight in beautiful Provo,
Well, it
Utah.
doesn't
Like
sound like
it's
an easy
gorgeous.
problem to have. No, that sounds like a
But
lot.
it's like, oh my God. Sitting here in Provo, it's like I don't even want to leave. I'm just like, I don't want to do this over the next 10 days or whatever. Like I don't want to. I just want to stay put for a while.
And
So
I've
we
felt
did
that way. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so we did book a month in Florida, like in July, just to like chill, after we do all this craziness that we're getting ready to do, starting today at like 10 a.m. Mountain Time.
Nice. So,
Yeah.
no, I
Mhm.
feel that way all the time. And even when I know I'm going to
Yeah.
enjoy the experience at the end of it or during it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, I don't want to, I don't want to get in the car.
Yeah.
I don't want to move from this
Exactly.
couch.
Like the last thing I want to do today is drive to Denver, which is a 7.5 hour drive.
Oh man.
I know. It's
And
crazy.
I think that's part of the transition. And this is
Yeah.
so there's the transitions you plan and there's the transitions you don't plan, but you have to react as.
Yes.
So like I decided I wanted when I went down to Daytona, I was like, okay, this will be a good home base. It's a
Hmm.
small little hotel unit, 430 square feet. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
First night I get in there, I'm like, this place is terrible. I'm about to like leave today, go
Gosh.
back to Pittsburgh. Then it grew on me. And then over two
Uh,
months, it was like, oh yeah, this is terrible,
this is
actually.
terrible.
So I don't want to say it's like a sunk cost fallacy or like wasted energy because it's not.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, this is you trying to get established here and then making a
Mhm.
home base. And
Yeah.
at a certain point, I was like, okay, I'm going to basically just use this, do short-term rentals and move from one spot to the other. But at a certain point, I was like, oh no, that is not the way to go, as evidenced
Yeah.
by all the stuff that
Yeah.
happened this 2 weeks. And I don't want to go into it too much because it's a little bit gross,
Yeah.
but it was
Okay.
bad.
Okay.
Um,
Oh
but then it's
Lord.
like, okay, I need out of there. I
Mhm.
didn't want to have to spend this time, energy, attention on finding another apartment, but I did,
Yeah.
and it was the right decision. Is this my forever home? Probably not,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
it's a good home base for now, and
Yes.
that's it. And but yeah, it's just when you're at the bottom of the mountain looking up,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I just want to stay here. It's it's so hard to start climbing.
It is. Oh my God. That's it. But somehow I get the energy, and then it's like, well, that wasn't too bad. I got to listen to, a couple podcasts. I get to listen to my audiobook. We're going to drive beautiful. I think it's Interstate 70 that goes through Colorado. It's gorgeous. So we'll be driving through that. But, it's just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And every time it's been worth it. Even
Yes.
when it sucked, it's like it's taught me
Yeah.
something. And it's like,
Yeah, that's true.
even when it's been terrible, it has been worth it. And it's like, I just need to
Yeah.
keep on reminding myself. And if that ever changes when I say, you know what, I didn't get anything out of this, I didn't learn
Mhm.
anything. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now I can stop climbing. That's fine. But
Exactly.
no, that hasn't happened yet. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm right there with you. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. We're gonna totally chill in July, which I cannot wait. Place right on the ocean down near Melbourne, Florida,
Mhm.
which is gonna be awesome. So I'm excited to just have a little break.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoy it. Yes, do a month. And that's another thing. Like
Mhm.
I am very blessed and I've worked hard for this, but I'm very blessed, and you're very blessed too. I know you've worked way harder for this than I have, but just being able to take a month and be like
Yeah,
anywhere, it's
yeah.
just imagine that like 100 years ago. You have to be
I
like, oh,
know.
nobility to do that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know. That is the amazing part. It's like, okay, well, you want to be in Melbourne for a month? Let's do it.
Absolutely. Awesome. And come up
Yeah.
my way. Let's have adventures.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I have a friend that lives right up there in Ormond. So she was my college
Oh,
roommate, if that tells you anything. Talking about college
wonderful.
days.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I've talked to a lot of people and I meet friends on the road. I remember I was visiting my one friend in Richmond. We used to know each other in the army. And
Mhm.
I meet one of his friends and I show him the original, the Eloise the van. And he's
Uh-huh.
like, dude, you're living my dream. And I'm like, come with, get a van, get the kid, pack up the kids, let's go.
Yeah.
And so many people I meet have the same reaction, but they always say, nope,
Yeah.
I'm in this community. And I'm in awe of Addie Wyland?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wayland.
Wayland. So who two kids,
Yeah.
husband in the trailer, traveling
Yeah.
around the world, doing homeschooling, taking them to like science centers and all this other stuff. It's like,
I
oh, that
love
is
it.
so beautiful.
It is. Oh my
And
gosh. I know.
I'm like, is there anything that really jumps out at you when you talk to either other therapists or other people in general that really seems to, they really want to do it, but
Yeah.
really stop themselves from doing it?
Oh my gosh. So many things. Yeah. I mean, I talk to therapists every day about this. It's just, it's the pets, it's the kids, it's the aging parents, it's the
Mm,
I'm attached to my stuff. It's like, how do I manage financially to maintain a residence while I'm also paying for residences other places? It's just all of that. What do I do with my stuff if I sell my house? Just all the logistics. How to like how do you manage time zones? I don't think I can do that. How do I, tell my clients? My clients aren't going to like that. Just licensure, like, am I even allowed to do it? Like, that's the first step. A lot of people don't even know they're allowed to do it. And if you go to the traveling therapist Facebook group, I mean, every day somebody tells you something different that's not even true.
oh
It's
yeah.
like, crazy in there. It's like, this is such misinformation in this group. It's insane. And I try to monitor that, but you really can't. So yeah, all of that, all of the above.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah,
it's
I
like
mean,
medical, like everything. Like, how do I get, health insurance in Utah when, my residence is in Florida, my mom's address. But,
mhm.
it's just all of those logistics just keep people from doing it.
And I mean, we seem to be able to do it.
Yeah,
Maybe,
I
and even
know.
like I thought about a lot of the things you said, but I didn't think about half of those when I first started. I was like, I learned a little bit,
Exactly.
or maybe I didn't experience some of those threats yet. But it's like, okay, all the logistical things have an answer. Yeah,
Yeah, it's wild.
I'm not trying to convince anyone to do this if they don't want to, like,
Hmm.
because they can figure it out if they want or not. But I have this one thing I see, especially with a lot of my male clients. I have a lot of male
Uh-huh.
clients who would have thought
Yeah.
male therapists getting a lot of male clients. But it's like, okay, the call to adventure thing, but they kind of seem stuck and they're not really
Hmm.
willing to do it that much. Like they'll go in the woods every so often, but it's not something more. Um,
Yeah.
and maybe I am trying to convince people. I'm like, okay, how do I convince people that it's like it's worth it?
Well, it's kind of, I mean, it's not even about the life you live or I live. It's like you as a therapist, right? You hear people and a therapist that coaches therapists, you hear people, they've got like this deep inner calling to like live a certain life, whatever that means for them, but they won't, they don't have the courage, that the logistics won't work out, they don't have the money, so I don't know about you, but me just hearing that, like that inner soul calling when I'm talking to people, and I
Hmm.
could, it's like, oh, maybe one day when I retire, like that kind of stuff, it kills me, because it's like, you actually could do whatever, X thing is that you're like longing for that you can't do for whatever
Yeah.
reason, so I don't know about you, but that's what it is for me. It's like, you just hear that inner soul calling, and it's like, but you can do it. I swear, we'll
Yes.
we'll figure out how you can do it. But it's oh no, I can't, I'm too busy, all of that stuff. And that's with anything with clients, when
Yeah.
you hear them want to do something different, but they don't, like they stay with the same guy, or all at the same
Mm,
job,
yeah.
or caretaking for somebody that doesn't deserve it, like all that stuff, it's like that stuck place where it's just like your soul just aches to help them get out of it, but they're not ready, or they don't want to, or they can't, or whatever, so
Yeah. The devil you know is still the devil. That's what I tell my
exactly.
clients a lot. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can do better. Like,
Yeah.
and I think the retirement thing is also just, and this is weird for me. I've had a bunch of corporate jobs from the army to hospitals to academia, and I've
Mhm.
hated all of them.
Yeah,
Or at the very least, I've
exactly.
been very misaligned. And it's like, okay, yes,
Mhm.
now running my own private practice, able to be wild and free, etc. But I've always had some sort of time pressure
Mhm.
where it's like, I'm not going to wait for retirement to
Yeah,
get what I need and want.
totally.
Um, and I just have such a hard time even
Mhm.
thinking that far ahead. Whereas
Yeah.
other people just seem to be like, yeah, maybe one day when I'm out of the corporate gig, I'm like, why wait 40 years?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I couldn't even. Right. Ugh. No, no. Yeah. When I hear that stuff, it's hard not to, like you said, like push the lifestyle. Like, but you can't. Look, I'm in, it sucks. I'm in Provo, Utah, but have you seen Provo, Utah? It's gorgeous. It's surrounded by
Yeah.
snow-capped mountains. It's got a lake. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a college town. BYU is here. It's so cute, and I would never have even stayed here if that hadn't happened with the car. But you know,
And there's so many beautiful things, even just up and down 95. Like there's
yes, yeah,
Rock Hill, South Carolina, which I've only, it's a small little college town, but everything's beautiful. Like the hills around Nashville. It's just like I can't even explain how many little small towns with the one coffee shop that
yeah,
or the one antique store that's just like it's just so energizing being there.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love it. I love it. I just did a reel today on my Instagram about using ChatGPT as a travel hack for walking tours because that's one of the favorite things I love to do is, you know, go to a new city and just walk and just like check it out,
Fantastic.
just get the feel for the city. I love that so much. So I was saying in the reel today, if you type into ChatGPT, like give me a walking tour of Salt Lake City, for example, I like to see this, and this on a walking tour. It'll like create a whole thing for you. It's so cool. We did it in Salt Lake City. We were like, let's do the ChatGPT walking tour and see what happens.
Yes.
So,
Awesome.
I love stuff like that. It doesn't even matter what town it is. I just like to go explore and walk around and get the feel for the town. So,
Yeah. I was in Temple Terrace outside of Tampa yesterday,
uh-huh.
and I had less than 2 days because just because of so much stuff I had to do. But I'm just like, and fortunately it's only 3 hours away, but I was like, I just want to spend a week here.
Yeah.
I want to just experience this. And it's right outside of University of South Florida, and it's like 20 minutes
Oh,
from Tampa proper. And it's
oh,
like, oh yeah,
cool.
there was just so many little things. We went to this German bar called Mr. Dunderbacks. Dunderbacks. And it was like amazing. I was like, I would
Oh,
never have known this existed unless my brother recommended it to me.
that's
So
so
yeah,
fun.
it's just the little things.
Yeah.
Uh,
Love it. Love that.
I think I guess just one more thing. It's so worth it. And
Yeah.
if I just to the audience, if you're what was I talking about? The transitions, having to do stuff like, okay, your car getting hit. It
Yeah.
sucks. I'm
Yeah.
sorry you have to do that, but you're
Yeah.
managing. And same thing, hey,
I am exactly. Yeah. And I'll manage getting to Virginia. It'll be fine. Probably be
yeah.
fun
I,
even.
I think it was your podcast with Amber, I believe, where you were like
Yeah.
I think you were in either Costa Rica or you were in one of the islands. It's like, oh, this place is terrible. We had to move to another one and have to, adjust things.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it sucks sometimes, but it's worth it. And hey, everyone, you can handle it.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
empowerment. That's the thing. Whatever the world throws at you, you can handle it. That's what I'm gonna say.
And when I look back now, all I remember really is we were staying in this awesome Airbnb and it was like right on this little cove in Las Terrenas, the Dominican Republic. It was awesome. There were problems, but it was awesome. When you look back on it, it's like that was pretty cool to be able to live there for a month and just
Yes.
chill like that. We had a pool and a restaurant and this beautiful ocean. Yeah. So I do complain a lot, but there's also a lot of wonderful stuff that comes out of it.
Yes. Complaining is my favorite thing to do. Same.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, Stephen, thank you so much. I hope if you
You.
go to Japan, you'll come back after and tell us how it was, what
I
you're
will
doing, even if
definitely
you're
come back
in
and tell you
Japan.
all, give you all
Okay.
the tea. Absolutely.
I can't wait. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I've always loved talking with you, and I appreciate you giving me this, inviting me back to the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. And if people want to reach out to you, how do they find you if
Oh,
they want to talk to you?
prosperitycc.com, Prosperity
Okay.
Counseling and Coaching. And you can also reach out to me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm in every Facebook group under Steven
Yeah.
Mollura, like every counseling Facebook group under Steven Mollura. And you can just message me directly. And website, that Facebook, Instagram, and you can put my email's long. We can put it in the show notes if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll put it in there. We'll put all the places to reach you. Yeah. Well, thank you so
Fantastic.
much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you loved this episode, please leave a review.